Welcome to Front Office Pros. Today, we're going to be talking about our favorite stacks that we intend to spend up on in our upcoming auction drafts.
Hike!
So Joe and I are going to be sharing 3 stacks each, but we're going to be giving you an expensive tier, a middle tier, and a value tier. So we're going to start off with the expensive group first. Joe, who are you spending up big time for?
Yeah, so the stack that I'm spending up on, based on the current auction value, is going to cost you $76, and that's Jalen Hurts. He's going for $32, and wide receiver A.J. Brown, who's going for $44. And I know it was a roller coaster ride of a season for the Eagles last year, but I like Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown this year. I think Kellen Moore coming over to be the offensive coordinator will really help. And I know a lot of people want to put blames on Kellen Moore. This is his 3rd job in 3 seasons, but the offense has usually been pretty good. You know, Herbert got hurt last year in LA. His time ran out in Dallas. So I think with Kellen Moore there, he might be able to right the ship between these two.
Now, do you think, one question for you on this,
Yeah.
would you be better off saving a little bit of money and going with Devonta Smith instead of A.J. Brown, or you feel like it's worth spending those extra dollars to get A.J. Brown versus Devonta Smith?
Yeah, I think it's worth the extra money. I think, A.J. Brown is really the master target of this offense. And because, like last season, when he's not, he gets frustrated and he makes sure he's the top target. That doesn't really happen with Devonta Smith. I think he's the clear wide receiver 2 on the team. And I just don't know what exactly Devonta Smith's ceiling is. He's been having solid seasons where it's like A.J. Brown's got the highest ceiling. So I do think it's worth the extra money for him.
My only question with Jalen Hurts this year, though, is with Saquon Barkley there now, they haven't had a running back like that in the backfield. Will Hurts still have as many? He had the tush push to get the end zone and all this. Are they going to still be doing that? There's no Jason Kelsey anymore, who was really integral for that. So is his rushing upside kind of diminished because of those 2 moves?
Well, hopefully if the tush pushes out, he's throwing more touchdowns to A.J. Brown.
That's true. That's true. All right, so the expensive stack that I'm going to be paying up for is quarterback Dak Prescott and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, which is going to cost you a resounding $74, with Prescott being $13, Lamb being $61. Here's the thing, Joe. I'm going with the hungry Cowboys in the fact that Prescott and Lamb both are wanting contract extensions. They're both going to be free agents next year. And we always say that they're going to ball out so they can cash out. So they have extra motivation to make sure that they get their paydays. So if I'm going to pay up, they've got money on their mind as well. So if I'm going to do it, I think paying up for those guys is a good get.
Yeah, I mean, it's good gamble, right? I mean, they both want to make their money. Dak, I know Jerry Jones just said today he thinks that Dak's going to be on the Cowboys, but if not, he's auditioning for, the other teams in the NFL. So, he wants to put his best foot forward. And then CeeDee Lamb reports are he, put on some more weight and he's, faster and stronger than he's been.
Yeah, but who knows? It might just be spin zone. And,
Yeah.
He's not with I don't think he's with the team, to my knowledge.
No, he's not.
So, they're just trying. That just might be a puff piece for the agent to get him more money.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, but I bet you it'll work.
It could. Depends on if Jerry Jones is going to open up his purse strings and start spending for those players that he's got. But that's another story for another episode. So are you enjoying this episode so far? Well, if you are, subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that like button, and hit the notification bell for upcoming videos. We do videos throughout the year, so you're not going to want to miss what we have in store. Joe, let's go to the middle stacks, the middle group here. Who do you like there?
Yeah, this will be no surprise to you, Steve. But my middle stack is going to cost you $51, and that's quarterback Jared Goff at $3 and wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown for $48. Jared Goff, his value is still $3. I mean, he had a good year last year. He was second in terms of passing yards, and he plays a lot of his games at home. Which when he's at home, Jared Goff, that's when you want to start him the most, is when he's at home. And now without Josh Reynolds there, I think there's just more targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Really, only Sam Laporta's there, and and Gibbs to take targets away. There's not a clear-cut wide receiver two. So I like this stack for the value that you have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest golf guy, you know that, but I do like this stack because the target share for ARSB is just so
Yeah.
high. And I, that's the type of offenses I look for. If you're going to go for a stack like that, you want to go for the guy who's going to get a lot of volume, and he gets it. There's not, I mean, Jameson Williams may butt into a good player. We don't know. You've got Laporta and Gibbs, but Amon Ra, he's easily going to clear 100 targets. You know it. You could bank
Right.
it.
Yep.
It's bankable. So to me, it's a safe option.
Yeah. That's why it was my middle tier option.
So my middle tier option is a little bit more risky than you. This is one that I, was thinking was going to be really good, as probably others did too last year. That's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. That would cost you $44. Aaron Rodgers for $4 and Garrett Wilson for $40. Garrett Wilson was my guy last year because I really expected that Aaron Rodgers was going to take Garrett Wilson's game to a whole nother level. Well, we saw what happened. Rodgers played 4 snaps, and the Jets were a dumpster fire. So now, Rodgers, the question is, can he stay healthy? But if he does, Wilson has been able to do so much with so little as far as quarterback play goes. And Rodgers is going for dirt cheap right now. Guy, the team around him right now, the offense, he's got a pretty talented roster. Probably one of the more talented rosters he's had, honestly, in his career. So to me, I think Rodgers is a very sneaky pick. I don't know why. Maybe people don't like him because he's so polarizing. Just on social media, and there's different sound bites he says. People are probably, I think they're just tired of him because he continues to be in the limelight. I'm not sure what it is, Joe. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's some of that, and then I think it's just also the fact that the guy's 39, going on 40, and he's coming off of a torn Achilles as well. I think that plays into it, but you're not wrong. I mean, if he stays healthy, him and Garrett Wilson should be a great connection. We saw it on Hard Knocks last year. We're already seeing it early in training camp already here. It just, if can Rodgers stay healthy, and that's the biggest part. And like you said, we've seen what Garrett Wilson's been able to do. It's just so impressive how involved he's in this offense. Just his quarterbacks can't get him those catchable targets.
So in our last stack tier here, we're going with the value play. And I know this episode is about spending up on stacks, but by you spending on these guys, this allows you to spend up on other players. So targeting this lower value tier could make a lot of sense for you. So Joe, who's your value stack?
Yeah, value stack. I've got gonna projected to cost you $10, and that's quarterback Will Levis for $1 and DeAndre Hopkins for $9. And for whatever, I mean, this Tennessee Titans offense, we've been talking about it in past videos, just seems to be continually overlooked. And the value's there for these guys. And honestly, there's potential. Brian Callahan coming over from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm expecting this offense to, take a step forward. And a lot of it falls on the shoulder of Will Levis. But I mean, talk about a quarterback you can take a $1 dart throw who could be good. And we've already seen him hyper target DeAndre Hopkins last year. And there's potential for, Hopkins to have a pretty good touchdown number as well. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest Levis guy, but I mean, for $10, this stack could be beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, I like Levis. We've talked about it before. I mean, he was one of my $1 players that I identified that I'm targeting because I think him in that Callahan offense, I could do really, really well. You've already been hearing Callahan rave about this guy that, Levis has really studied hard and, it's really shown on the field here early in training camp. It's so hard to tell, kind of parse through the smoke, as to whether or not, these coaches are just, saying hot air or they actually mean something what they're saying. I do think some of it does matter what they say. I don't think it's all just fluff. So I think, I like this value pick by you.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think it's got potential, and like we keep saying, just the Titans could surprise, and if they do, the return on the value is going to be there.
So for my value stack, I'm going to be kind of taking a little bit of a gamble, but hey, that's what this is all about. I'm going with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. That's going to cost you $13 in total, $3 for Jaden Daniels and $10 for Terry McLaurin. and looking like Jaden Daniels is the presumptive starter as the number 2 pick in the draft. And what I like about Terry McLaurin and him is that Jaden Daniels doesn't really have a lot of weapons on that Commanders offense. I mean, you've got, Ken Jahan Dotson, who former first-round pick, and he do something. You've got, Zach Ertz. He's not getting any younger. They drafted Ben Sinnott, one of your favorite rookie tight ends. But they just don't really have a lot of weapons. They got Eckler, who's an aging, running back. So to me, McLaurin is the guy in that offense. I think he could get hyper targeted by Daniels, unless somehow, some way they get Ayuk. But I really like this stack as a value stack, and with Jaden Daniels and with those rushing numbers, that's the cheat code. In fantasy football. Can you get those rushing quarterbacks these days? And Jaden Daniels, although I think he could get himself in harm's way, he really needs to learn not to do what he did in LSU. There's no denying his speed and his ability to, be evasive and make plays with his legs.
Yeah, I mean, I like this stack. Honestly, if you weren't going to do it, I would have taken it. And to me, the most question is just, I think a lot just falls on Terry McLaurin. I do think he will get hyper targeted. Just curious. I mean, I guess the quarterbacks have been the problem for him, but he's been pretty good. We just haven't seen him excel to that next step. But for $13 and McLaurin only being 10, I think it's a pretty good gamble to take that has a high rate of return.
I mean, I got Jaden Daniels projected to rush for over 600 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and I'm pretty bullish on McLaurin, but I got him, getting over 1,000 yards, 1267 with 6 touchdowns. So I think he could have a really good year this year. This is his best quarterback. I mean, we'll see. I think this will be the best quarterback he's ever had. He hasn't had many.
No. And I guess the point, Sam Howell spread the ball around so much last year, it was hard to really get a feel. Even Curtis Samuel got a ton of targets. So if one guy is hyper targeted, that guy would be Terry McLaurin. And it would be interesting to see what he does when he actually does get a quarterback that hyper targets him.
Well, and McLaurin is such a good contested catcher too. I mean, he just he has proven that over his career with not much quarterback play. So I like that option. So that does it for our favorite stacks that we're willing to spend up on. We gave you an expensive option, a middle option, and a value option. Hopefully you found that helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.